Well, I've just got them sitting in there. They're not glued in, but I can run my finger across them and they just sit nicely seated. If you'd like to follow the process of turning a block of wood like this into a guitar like this, then you've come to the right place. And if you would like to see me give this guitar away, click subscribe, hit the bell. Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Build a Guitar. Time to catch you up. First off, I am so excited that I finally got my Telecaster style guitar done. It's been a lot of fun playing that guitar. It's so much fun to have Floyd Rose back on a guitar. It's been so long since I've had that. Not like I need to play like I'm from the 1980s, but I was a teenager in the 1980s, and so it's just kind of a part of the nature, right? That just play some of those songs. It's just so much fun to have a Floyd Rose. Hey, so now it's time to kind of catch you up with where I'm at. Last time that I was working on these guitars, I was working on this inlay, and so I've got those inlays done. Now I'm starting to work on the finalizing of the finish, and I am in the middle of spraying. I'm at a point where I need to sand this down again and then keep spraying clear coat over it, and it might look a little bit like a mess right now. And yes, I know this is a little bit blingier than a lot of guitars that most of you would ever want, but these guitars are not going to your typical Joe playing in a typical pub or something of that sort, or playing for church. These are going to an individual who needs just a little bit of bling. Friend of Prince's, grew up with Prince, played with Prince. Now he's out in Hollywood. I keep his identity, I guess, close, so I just call him Mr. X. Anyway, these guitars are being made for him specially, and he wants a little bling. So when you're looking at this, just so you know, this is 24 karat gold leaf on top of the wood. The gold is going into the wood, and then they're not there yet, but eventually there's some holes here that are drilled, and there's going to be some diamonds that are in there. The idea of this guitar, I'm looking forward to sharing with you in the near future. I just can't do it quite yet. But what we're going to do for now is we're going to go back in time, and I'm going to catch you up to where we are. And it's going to be a few episodes for you to catch up to this point. And I'm going to keep working and get these guitars finished and sent off to him, hopefully in the real near future. This one will be done before that one. There's another one hanging over there. Kind of different, but it's fun. And I am so thrilled that I get to be a part of this project and have some artistic license to just do some very unique, strange, but pretty cool things when it all comes down to it. So let's go back in time to about December of 2022. And we're going to start working forward to catch up with where I'm at right now. I started doing the YouTube channel almost 2 years ago, and I was looking a little younger. I'm obviously getting older. So yes, still working on this. I'm waiting for another pickup to come in yet. I was hoping it would have been here today and I could have been working on that. And that reminds me, I also had a question the other day. Whatever happened to your apprentice? Well, he's still sort of around. The family moved, so they moved a little further away, so I don't see him quite as often, but we are still working on his guitar. He's working on things at home, brings it in every now and then. So yeah, you know what, it's about time. Maybe when I get back from Vietnam, I'll have to try and get back together with him and see if we can get a little further on his guitar as well. These were most definitely a huge challenge for me. I think they turned out okay, but they don't look laser cut. They do look hand done, which I think the guy that has me make them is kind of likes that. He doesn't want them to look necessarily laser cut. But you know, as I look at them, it's like, they're not absolutely perfect, and that frustrates me. But hey, they look good. You know, put them side by side. looks all right. So we got guitar 1 and 2 here. I've got these set up, so now it's time to start. Well, I need to drill my holes in my headstock. I got to put my tuners on there, and then I'm going to start to set this up to make sure before I go any further that it sets up and plays really well. I'm right now drilling the side dots for these diamonds. He sent me diamonds to put in, real diamonds, and I'm putting those in as side dots. First, I had to find a bit that would give me this angle point, just like a diamond would come, the shape, and what I found was this bit. Now, I'm not sure if you can see that very well or not, but that bit is actually a bit for drilling glass. I found it just at Menards, and I looked at it and I thought, yeah, that angle looks to be right. And I've made a mark on it. I've kind of blackened where I need to, how deep I need to go with it. And it seems to actually be perfect. If I put one of the diamonds in one of these holes, I'll put a diamond in there. Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and put diamonds in all the ones that I've got done so far, and you can see what it looks like that way. Well, I've just got them sitting in there. They're not glued in, but I can run my finger across them and they just sit nicely seated into those holes there. That's going to look pretty amazing. I don't know how many carats these diamonds are, but I do know that they are 3.70 millimeters in diameter. Guys, when I started building guitars, I had no idea that I would ever be asked to do something like this, to put diamonds in as fretboard markers. Some of you have been asking about the Telecaster that I've been working on building, like whatever happened to it, and are you done with it yet? You know, there's things that I just don't like to admit. One of those things that I don't like to admit is when I just really screw up. The good thing is I screwed up royally on one of my guitars and not somebody else's. I had the guitar sitting back here on this. Now this was all cleared out, but I came back from Vietnam, and about 2 days after coming back, I was rested up a little bit, thought I'm gonna go downstairs, I'm gonna finish off my Telecaster. All I needed to do was to hook up the electronics, and it was ready to go. Well, hook up the electronics, string it up, and then obviously set it and intonate it. But it was getting so close to being done. And I grabbed hold of the neck and I was going to pull it out, and it slipped out of my hand and it fell down. And I chipped paint horribly off of it when I dropped it. Arg. So I set it back onto the stand. I turned off my lights. I went upstairs and I didn't do anything for about a week. But as it warms up here now, right now it's end of January, towards the end of January in Minnesota. It's freezing cold outside. I want to wait till it warms up a little bit before I start sanding it, but I'm going to sand the whole thing down and start over. I've just got one diamond that I leave setting out, and I'm making sure that it's the edge of the diamond is smooth with it, so I can feel it bumped up out of the side of the fretboard, but the ridge or the biggest part of the diamond will sit right inside this circle. So that's flush. There we go. It's now flush. Okay, well, just had a conversation with Mr. X, and we have decided that we are not going to put any markers on these other frets. It just looked too busy, so we just want this to stand out, and we'll have the diamond side markers on there, which are going to be beautiful and stand out as well. One small step I'm going to do before I actually put my frets in is, especially along my inlay, I'm going to use this little triangular file, very, very small file, and I'm going to just run along and bevel those lines just slightly to help the fret wire to go in. And then the other thing, something that I've seen that talks about this being beneficial, is the fact that if you pull the fret wire up and out again sometime, it'll help from chipping out on the edges of the fretboard. I'll need to clean out my channel there so that that fret wire is going to be able to make it down into that groove and seat well, because we want those wires to seat well here. I'm going to use just a little CA glue in each one of these slots to help hold that fret wire where it needs to be. You don't want the fret wire to work its way up. Now, the reality is you might be able to put it in without the glue and it'll never come up, never be a problem. That's very possible. But if that fret wire starts to work its way up over time, especially if you're in a climate like mine in Minnesota where we've got 100 degrees in the summer and we've got negative 40 below in the winter, and the humidity changes and things move with wood, it does help to seat it in with just a little bit of glue. I'm going to use a fine little point to help guide that glue. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm not going to go all the way to the ends. I'm going to kind of just give glue in the center area here. This is a personal thing that I'm doing just to eliminate some of the squeeze out, and partially because I'm going to be staining the back of this, and I don't want the glue to really get in on the back so much. And you can sand it off, but it can still, even when you think you've got it all off, it can still cause a problem with your staining. So I will just use a little glue, basically just going right in here, and let that help seat it in. And yeah, I've got so one of the great things that I picked up about a year ago, I guess, is this little guy over here. So I do have this arbor press for pressing in my frets, and then I've also got the hammer. If there's something that's a problem, I can hammer in as well. But I do like the arbor press. It's really nice. You know, if you're going to do it very much, it's worth the investment. If you're only going to do one, see if you can find somebody else's, or some people will use a drill press and just use one of those arbor ends in their drill press. Now I'm using the same fret wire that I took out of here. So this is neck number 2 that I'm working on. So this is going to be my first fret here. To install that fret, I put them all in the hole the same way, but I am going to check to make sure that I've got it so it lines up. Now, I knew that would be the right way, but there is a difference. If I turn this around, it's not going to fit in quite the same as it did that way. And just because there are tiny little barbs on these fret wires, and they are it's kind of like a wave. So one side has it sticking out here, and then the other side has it sticking out there. Kind of goes back and forth with those little waves, and so it'll fit in differently there. And so I just want to make sure that I get it set first before I add the glue, to make sure that I have that so that it's right where I want it to be. Well, there we go, guys. A little bit of catching up on the fretboard, the inlay, and then those side diamonds. Can you believe that? Diamonds as the fretboard markers, or, well, the side markers, I guess. Next time, we're going to come back and you're going to see where I'm going and what I've done with the actual finishing, you know, the stain, what it looks like on the back, talk a little bit about the gold leaf. So you'll see me doing some of the gold leaf, and then of course there's just kind of, I did what I could to get as golden of a stain as possible for over the wood. So there's some curly, well, quilted maple, I guess, here on the front, and then the gold just kind of works into it. And there is a meaning behind this, how this gold is coming into the wood and where the diamonds are going to be. There's significance and artistic flair to some of that. Keep fighting for joy, guys. Thanks for watching this one. Come back next time and we'll get to kind of how we're doing the finish work on this. See you next time, guys.
Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to buy.